Hey everybody, most scholars who study early Israelite religion are in pretty general agreement that in the earliest periods of Israel's history, the God of Israel, first El and then the conflated El and Adonai, had a wife named Asherah. And almost 3,000 years ago, it seems like someone in the Sinai Peninsula drew a picture of both the God of Israel and their consort or wife Asherah. This is a photograph of the relevant part of this large pot, and it's a little difficult to see what's going on here. So here is a drawing I did of that artifact, and you can see there's an inscription that was written over top of the male deity figure. It could have been written by the person who did the drawings. More likely it was written by someone else. But they talk about blessings, and then on the very bottom line of the inscription, the line that is centered over the male deity and overlaps their headdress says, by Adonai of Shomron and by Asherah. And so this inscription most likely understands the two deities to represent Adonai, the God of Israel, and their consort, Asherah, the goddess of Israel. Now, a common response to this is that this is no big deal because the Bible tells us that there were apostate Israelites who were worshiping Asherah as the queen of heaven. But the problem with this is that the only negative references that we have to Asherah in the biblical text are dated by scholars to the reign of Josiah and after. They are part of the Deuteronomistic literature and the literature that would be influenced by it. So they date to the end of the 7th century BCE and later, and are probably the product of Josiah's campaign of cult centralization. We have absolutely no data from prior to the reign of Josiah that indicates anyone really had a problem with the worship of Asherah, and all of the material remains that we have that attest to that worship come from before that time period. If you're interested in reading more about Asherah as an early Israelite goddess, Bill Deaver's 2005 book, Did God Have a Wife?, is probably the most general and accessible discussion. But Saul Olyan is a wonderful scholar who wrote a book on this many years ago entitled Asherah and the Cult of Adonai in Israel. Tilda Binger also has a wonderful volume discussing this. I would highly recommend Judith Hadley's volume, The Cult of Asherah in Ancient Israel and Judah, Evidence for a Hebrew Goddess. Steve Wiggins also has a very careful volume entitled A Reassessment of Asherah with Further Considerations of the Goddess that seeks to try to temper what Steve sees as some of the excesses of earlier theories. And for great discussion of why it is likely that the two figures that appear on that drawing are indeed Adonai and his Asherah, Ryan Thomas has a wonderful article from the Journal of Ancient Near Eastern Religions entitled The Identity of the Standing Figures on Pithos A from Kuntilat Ajrud, a Reassessment. And I also discuss some of the divine images associated with Asherah in my own book, Adonai's Divine Images, A Cognitive Approach, which is an open access volume that you can find for free online, and there is a link directly to a PDF of the book in my link tree. I also taught an online class last year on the Israelite goddess Asherah, and you can purchase access to that recording and to the recordings of other online classes that I have taught at mcclellan.org.